Hi, I'm Rebecca Lyons. Welcome to Jesus Speaks in the Book of Mormon and in Dreams. Today we are reading from Alma chapter 20. The Lord sends Ammon to Madoni to deliver the imprisoned brethren. Ammon and Lamoni meet Lamoni's father, who is king over all the land. Ammon compels the old king to approve the release of his brethren. So if you didn't watch the last episode, it was all about the whole entire court. King Lamoni, Queen Lamoni, and all the servants passed out. They got this incredible, intense spiritual download. It was too much for the body to handle, so they all fell down to the earth and as if they were dead. And they all woke up as new creatures in Christ. So we're going to tell the next part of the story after that. So start in verse 1. And it came to pass that when they had established a church in the land, the king Lamoni desired that Ammon should go with him to the land of Nephi, that he might show him unto his father. And the voice of the Lord came to Ammon, saying, Thou shalt not go up to the land of Nephi, for behold, the king will seek thy life. But thou shalt go to the land of Madoni, for behold, thy brother Aaron and Molokai and Amma are in prison. Now it came to pass, when Ammon had heard this, he said unto Lamoni, Behold, my brother and my brethren are in prison at Madoni, and I go now that I may deliver them. Now Lamoni said unto Ammon, I know in the strength of the Lord thou canst do all things. But behold, I will go with thee to the land of Madoni, for the king of the land of Madoni, whose name is Antiumno, is a friend unto me. Therefore I go to the land of Madoni, that I may flatter the king of the land, that he will cast thy brother out of prison. Now Lamoni said unto him, Who told thee that thy brethren were in prison? And Ammon said unto him, No one hath told me, save it be God only. And he said unto me, Go and deliver thy brethren, for they are in prison in the land of Madoni. Now when Lamoni had heard this, he caused that his servants should make ready his horses and his chariots. And he said unto Ammon, Come, I will go with thee down to the land of Madoni, and there I will plead with the king, that he will cast thy brethren out of prison. And it came to pass that as Ammon and Lamoni were journeying thither, they met the father of Lamoni, who was king over all the land. So this is not good. They just ran into King Lamoni's father, who is king over the whole entire area. And we'll continue, and you'll hear what happens here. And behold, the father of King Lamoni said unto him, Why did ye not come to the feast? On that great day when I made a feast unto my sons and unto my people. So he's already ticked. He's like, son, King Lamoni, my son, why did you not come to my feast? You were supposed to be there. And he's really angry at him. And then King Lamoni's father, who is the king over all the land, he also said, Whither art thou going with this Nephite, who is one of the children of a liar? So that's his sworn enemy. And he's like, why are you with this Nephite? You know, he's a liar. He's our enemy. What are you doing with this man? And it came to pass that Lamoni rehearsed unto him whither he was going, for he feared to offend him. And he also told him of all the cause of the tarrying in his own kingdom, and that he did not go unto his father to the feast which he had prepared. So he had other things going on and couldn't make it to his father's feast. And now when King Lamoni had rehearsed all these things unto his father, behold, to his astonishment, his father was very angry with him, and said, Lamoni, thou art going to deliver these Nephites, who are sons of a liar. Behold, he robbed our fathers, and now his children are also come amongst us, that they may by their cunning and their lyings deceive us, that they again may rob us of our property. Now the father of Lamoni commanded him that he should slay and kill Ammon with the sword. And he also commanded him that he should not go to the land of Madoni, but that he should return with him to the land of Ishmael. So it's like King Lamoni's father, who is the king of all the land, he's commanding King Lamoni, okay, slay and kill him, you're grounded, you're coming home with me. But King Lamoni said unto his father, I will not slay and kill Ammon, neither will I return to the land of Ishmael. But I go to the land of Madoni, that I may release the brethren of Ammon, for I know they are just men and holy prophets of the true God. So he's testifying that he knows Ammon and his brothers are true prophets of God. I'm not going to kill them, Dad. I don't care what you say. And he's testifying of the truth of them being prophets of God to his dad. Now, when King Lamoni's father had heard his son speak these words, he was angry with him, and he drew up his sword that he might smite him and kill him. It says that he might smite him to the earth. But Ammon stood forth and said unto King Lamoni's father, Behold, thou shalt not slay and kill thy son. Nevertheless, it were better that he should fall than thee. For behold, your son has repented of his sins. But if you should fall at this time in your anger, thy soul could not be saved. So he's saying, okay, your son, King Lamoni, has repented. So if he died right now, he'd be in really good condition with God and be in really good shape. You know, he'd make it to the celestial kingdom. But you, if you died right now, you go to hell. So you better think about what you're doing, is what he's saying. Anyway, so he said, your son has repented of his sins, but if you should fall this time in your anger, thy soul cannot be saved. And again, it is expedient that thou shouldst forbear. For if thou shouldst slay and kill thy son, he would, being an innocent man, his blood would cry from the ground to the Lord his God for vengeance to come upon thee, and perhaps thou wouldst lose thy soul. So it's saying, if you kill your son, the Lord's going to come after you. You don't want to mess with the Lord. He's like God. He's all-powerful. In verse 19, when Ammon had said these words unto King Lamoni's father, he answered him, saying, I know that if I should slay and kill my son, that I should shed innocent blood. For it is thou that hast sought to destroy him. And he stretched forth his hand to slay and kill Ammon. So the king's like, this is my son, and I'm going to kill him if I want to. So he stretched forth his hand to kill Ammon. But Ammon withstood the king's blows and also smote his arm so he could not use it. Wow. So the king's father goes to kill Ammon, brings up his sword. Ammon blocks his sword so he couldn't kill Ammon. And then he smote in his arm with the sword. He didn't cut his arm off, but he smote it and hit it really hard so he couldn't use his arm to kill him. Now when the king saw that Ammon could slay and kill him, he began to plead with Ammon that he would spare his life. So the king of all the land, is like begging and pleading Ammon to spare his life, because he's like, oh crap, this guy is really strong and this guy is protected by God, and I better do what he says or he's going to kill me. So, and Ammon raised up his sword, and he said unto King Lamoni's father, Behold, I will smite thee, except thou wilt grant unto me that my brethren may be cast out of prison. Now the king, fearing he should lose his life, said, If thou wilt spare me, I will grant unto thee whatsoever thing thou wilt ask of me, even to half of my kingdom. So you can ask me whatever you want, and I will give you half of my kingdom if you spare my life. Now when Ammon saw that he had wrought upon the old king according to his desire, Ammon said unto the king's father, If thou wilt grant that my brethren may be cast out of prison, and also that Lamoni may retain his kingdom, that ye not be displeased with him, but grant that he may do according to his own desires, and whatsoever thing he thinketh, then I will spare thy life. Otherwise I will smite thee to the earth. Otherwise I'm going to kill you. So he's saying, Ammon's saying to Lamoni king's father, king, if you let my brethren out of prison, and if you let your son Lamoni keep his kingdom, and don't be displeased with him, and you let him do whatever he wants to do in his kingdom without you telling him what to do, then I'll spare your life. So he's like, I don't want half your kingdom. I just want you to not try to control your son and tell him what to do, and let him control his own kingdom how he sees fit. And if you let my brethren out of prison, I'll spare your life. Now when Ammon had said these words to King Lamoni's father, the king began to rejoice because his life was spared. And when he saw that Ammon had no desire to destroy him and kill him and slay him, and when he also saw the great love that Ammon had for his son Lamoni, he was astonished exceedingly, and he said, Because this is all that thou hast desired, then I will release thy brethren, and suffer that my son Lamoni should retain his kingdom. Behold, I will grant unto you and my son that you may retain this kingdom from this time henceforth, or from this time and forever, and I will govern him no more. And he said, okay, I'm going to let my son govern his own kingdom, and I'm going to release your brethren, just as you asked me to do. because you spared my life. And I will also grant unto thee that thy brethren will be cast out of prison, that thou and thy brethren may come unto me in my kingdom, for I shall greatly desire to see thee. For the king was greatly astonished at the words which Ammon had spoken, and also at the words which had been spoken by his son Lamoni. Therefore the king was desirous to learn them. So he just told Ammon that he would release his brethren out of prison. And it came to pass that Ammon and Lamoni proceeded on their journey towards the land of Middoni, and Lamoni found favor in the eyes of the king of the land. Therefore the brethren of Ammon were brought forth out of prison. And when Ammon did meet them, he was exceedingly sorrowful, or behold, they were naked, and their skins were worn exceedingly because of being bound with strong cords. And they also had suffered hunger and thirst and all kinds of afflictions. Nevertheless, they were patient in all their suffering. So when Ammon went to meet his brethren that were in jail, they hadn't been fed for days, probably weeks. They were completely naked. They were all depressed. Their skins were worn down because they were bound with strong cords, so I'm sure they're bleeding and cut. And they had suffered hunger and thirst. They had been starved to death. They had been not given any water. But they were patient in all their sufferings. And as it happened, it was their lot to have fallen into the hands of a more hardened and a more stiff-necked people. Therefore they would not hearken unto their words, and they had cast them out, and had smitten them, and had driven them from house to house, and from place to place, even until they had arrived in the land of Middoni. And there they were taken and cast into prison, and bound with strong cords, and kept in prison for many days, and were delivered by Lamoni and by Ammon. Okay, so King Lamoni and Ammon just let all the brethren of Ammon out of prison, and so now they're all free. And I will see you tomorrow in chapter 21.